cafe. Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hey, look at this. It's Mike Matthews at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth, and a program called Mike's Daily Podcast. It's episode 2608, 2608. Ain't that great? It's Friday, and I hope you are not falling into a plate of spaghetti with your face, because if you do that, you won't enjoy all the delicious taste of the Italian dish that you are eating, the food called spaghetti. Mike's Daily Podcast. I came up with that song just now. No. Actually, I wrote it out. I wrote it daily. Took me 3 years to write that song. Podcast. You can read the liner notes in the CD that comes with the purchase of this podcast by listening to it. Thank you so much for listening to it. I have a interesting thing to tell you, because if you are listening to this on Saturday, it is Saturday the 13th. Is that some kind of superstitious thing? Should we worry? It is Saturday the 13th? I don't know. But let's see. It's also a special day in honor of people who are female who own a dog, because it's National Dog Moms Day. Thank you, dog moms. Where would we be without you? It's important that there's dog dads, dog moms. Dogs need us. Cats need us, but that's not the special day today. Today is National Dog Moms Day. And also, every once in a while, to make a salad a little less boring, you got to throw a crouton on it. That's right, crouton. So it's National Crouton Day. And because sometimes you have to read a book by Mark Twain, one of his short stories from early in his career.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It's National Frog Jumping Day. Wasn't it the frog, the notorious frog of Calaveras County, something like that? Yes, that's what they made us read when we were younger. I'm going to post a picture, another Google picture. They, of course, in the news lately with their new AI that they're coming out with, Bard, and in the new phone that's foldable. It's kind of like a little book, sort of. And it's National Train Day today. Let's hear it for trains. Basil was never on a train. No, wait a minute. He was. Because in Danville, where I used to walk him all the time in Danville, downtown Danville, they got this old train that's there that you can actually walk into. It's just one of the cars, and you can see somebody riding the train. It's an old-timey train, so it's sort of a historical piece, a museum piece. And there's a mannequin sitting in the car, and you hear the sound of the train moving along. And he walked in there because I think I had to tie him up right there, because the bathroom was also in that room. There's a public bathroom in Danville. People have never been to Danville, don't know what I'm talking about. And I don't even know if it's still open after COVID, because I have not been there since COVID. Which is ended, by the way. Did you know? It's completely done. We'll never, ever, ever have to get COVID again. Thank you. So it's National Train Day. I wish it was true that we never got COVID again. Such an annoying disease. And then, that's the understatement of the year. And finally, it's National Babysitters Day. Because parents got to go out. They got to enjoy themselves. And young people need to be paid money in order to watch for the job they do. It's sometimes the very first job someone ever has is as a babysitter. And sometimes things get really crazy, and Elizabeth Shue becomes the president of some company. Is that what happened in that movie? I forget. Adventures in Babysitting? Or am I thinking of... No, maybe that's the one with the... Yeah, Applegate. I might be mixing up my movies. But whatever day it is for you, it's also National Miniature Golf Day. Whatever it is, National Fruit Cocktail Day. Whatever day you're celebrating today, National Archery Day. Ooh, I should like National Archery Day because I'm a Sagittarius. Half of me is an archer, the other half is a horse. You figure out which is which. Enjoy today. And perhaps you're listening to this way off in the future and none of this applies. So just make up your own day and enjoy that. That's basically what the person who sent this to me did. No, actually, I think it is something if you look it up. If you typed in what day is National Babysitter's Day, it will say May 13th. But Disney shares apparently did not do so well. They're sort of in a situation where they're having trouble because the streaming service did not do so well. Yes, they are having problems with Disney Plus, and I can see why, because like I have called it before, it's the streaming service for those people who enjoyed all those straight-to-video Disney movies that came out in the 90s that were so shoddily done. So shoddily. Shoddily. Disney stock falls after a decline in Disney Plus subscribers. They reported a surprise decline during the fiscal second quarter. Total Disney Plus subscribers came in at 157.8 million. But that is below the estimate of 163.5 million. The company said streaming loss fell to $200 million. It used to be $700 million. So quite a drop. Core Disney Plus subscribers rose 1% sequentially to 52.9 million. And the ESPN subscribers rose 2% to 25.3 million. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast. Anyway. Somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. And Hulu subscribers, yes, Disney owns Hulu, were mostly flat at 48.2 million. Basically, people that love The Handmaid's Tale. And there was a time, a little over 10 years ago, I was watching Hulu nonstop because I had cut the cord in the mid-O's and Hulu came along and I thought, oh, this is amazing. I can watch all these TV shows. I have to sit through stupid commercials. Sometimes the same commercial played 3 times in a row. But hey, I got it. It's free. It's wonderful. Well, then along comes Disney and Hulu. Just shortly before Disney bought Hulu started charging people. And I did a trial run with it for about a month. I gave them my credit card. I thought, oh, okay, let's try it out. Hulu, now you have to pay for it, so here I go. I'll do it. For the first month is free. Got to remember to cancel it before they charge me. And it's a good thing I did because I still got commercials, even though I was paying for it. Not really paying for it, but I would be paying for it. So Hulu is flat, understandably, in my eyes. Average monthly revenue per paid Disney Plus subscriber rose 13% to $5.64 globally, reflecting price increases. Oh, it's $5.64 globally. The average monthly revenue, that rose because of price increases. All the streamers are raising prices and cutting costs. The larger media and entertainment distribution segment saw sales rise 3% to $14.4 billion from a year ago. Revenue from Disney parks and experiences and products soared 17%. So that did well. It was the streaming that didn't do so good. The Disney stocks had rallied about 16% this year. So now a stock decline because of those observations. and the facts coming out about Disney. There's an interesting channel you've seen on YouTube, probably. A lot of people watch it. It's called Defunct Land. And the guy, I think his last name is Perjury or something like that. He takes all these old amusement park rides that Disney doesn't have anymore. And he does these long, like hour-long documentaries about them. And he just came out with this one about not Disneyland, but a place in Australia that does a Disney type park, and it opened in the 70s. It's called Dream World, and it's still around. But there was a group that kids loved. They were targeting kids, this band, and they were called the Wiggles. And they got pretty big. I've never heard of them. I didn't have a child. Don't know. If I had a child, I probably would have heard of the Wiggles. Apparently, they were really big. And they tour with Barney and all that. Well, they made this ride in honor of them in Australia because they came from Australia.
The front panel will close automatically.
And all the footage, it looks so horrible. The only thing really interesting is it was one of the first trackless rides. Now trackless rides are all over the place. Every amusement park's got 2 or 3 trackless rides because they've come up with the furthered the technology. It works great. You can do all kinds of things like make the car go directions that the people in the car aren't expecting it to go. But because it was one of the first ones, there's all kinds of problems and they never seemed to fix it. And it was basically you would go into different rooms and you would just go into a room and there'd be a TV set and the people of the band would start to sing to you, and you were supposed to grab the microphone that was in the car you were sitting in. Yes, every car had microphones, and you were supposed to sing along with them, like karaoke. And this ride lasted 10 years, somewhere around there. And it amazes me because the story of this band, Wiggles, a contrived child's band, is so true of any of those contrived bands that get really, really, really popular really quick. One of the members of the band started having issues. It wasn't drug problems, but they had something where they complained if they stood up for a long period of time, the blood wouldn't pump to their heart and they could die. So they had to stop touring with the band, which then miraculously they somehow got better. About 5 years later, they came back to the band. Meanwhile, the guy that replaced him, he got popular, and they had to ask him to leave because now that it was like, oh, you can't have both Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel in the same band. So one of you got to leave. And that kind of thing. It's like if Peter Cetera came back to Chicago, which would never, ever happen. I think... yeah, we can pretty much, anybody who's observed that dynamic can pretty much say, yes, that's never going to happen. Peter hates the guys from Chicago. Don't know why, but because I watched that documentary too, trying to figure that one out. So anyway, Cafe Anyway, that was very fascinating to watch because it was a little microcosm of what happens in all bands, be it rock, be it country, be it hip hop, be it dance, be it children only type bands. It happens with Christian bands. This bands just don't get along after a while. It's very, very rare when all the members get along because it's all that ego going on. Oh, and one last thing. Peloton shares plunge after... one last thing about the Wiggles. I guess they still exist, but now it is super woke. Because before it was just a bunch of guys. Now it's, oh, look at this. It's all women. And, oh, look at this. It's no white people. So it's like completely changed from what they were. I don't know if it's still popular, if anyone knows about them.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
Microsoft agreed to buy electricity in 2028 from a nuclear fusion startup backed by Sam Altman. The technology to produce the power doesn't exist yet, but they have agreed to buy the electricity. when it gets made in 2028 by Sam Altman. We'll see what happens. And finally, Peloton shares. They plunged after the Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled more than 2 million bikes, those Peloton bikes that so many people bought during COVID, during 2020, 2021. The seat post on one model bike can detach and break unexpectedly during use. There were 12 reported injuries, including one wrist fracture related to the part defect, according to an internal Peloton memo. And I got all that info from Rob Black. I produce his podcast, and his podcast is called Rob Black and Your Money. And you should do a little search and find it and listen. All kinds of money stuff is in there. Very fascinating and interesting stuff. Look who's outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth.
Magnification.
Oh, did I not post? I posted the wrong description in my podcast on my website, MikesDailyPodcast.com. The podcast picture is of Google, and that is someplace I probably will never get to go to again, because the guy that got me in, I don't think he's going to be there much longer. He's been having issues showing up to work, and Google don't play that game. Google says, oh, Google just opened up a little thing.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Sorry, Google. I didn't mean to talk to you. Google, are you listening to me? No, they turned off. Okay. Well, she doesn't understand. But look who's here. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, Gift Shop Supervisor. That was really scary what your phone just did, Mike Matthews. Yes. Do you show up to work every day? Of course, Mike Matthews. I'm the gift shop supervisor, so I have to be here every day. I'm a hard worker, Mike Matthews. Excellent. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, you got to fix that thing on your website, the one that everybody goes to every day, and you better fix it right now. I'll do that. I'll get around to it in a few minutes. But yeah, see the podcast picture and listen to past podcasts and chime in about what we were talking about. You can call me at 510-228-4640. And if you missed that phone number because I said it too quickly, there's more ways to listen back to the podcast. Well, I guess you could hit rewind. And with more ways to reach me, if you didn't want to call me, here's A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!